everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 186. Now, this is a notable number, because back when the show was Super Podcast Action Committee, we ended up with 186 episodes before we switched over to Molehill Mountain, when Game Politics ended, naturally. So, with this episode, we've now done the same number of episodes as we did with Super Podcast Action Committee, so yay! Anyway, hello everyone, Andrew Eisen here. Cut myself shaving, but hey, at least I'm still grooming, right? That's a good sign. All right, so last Sunday, I played Portal 2 for my weekend stream. A game I had not played before. I had played the first, quite enjoyed it. So played the second and quite enjoyed it. Where I left off on Sunday was about 2 hours from the end of the game. And what I feel is probably the weakest, not bad, but the weakest section of the game. It's where it introduces the colored gels. There's bouncy blue gel, there's make you run really fast orange gel, and there's put a portal here white gel. My criticism upon first being exposed to that new mechanic was I liked the idea of them, but they didn't feel great. You know, it just didn't. Bouncing off of the blue gunk felt a little imprecise. And I think some of that might be you can't really correct your momentum in the air, which is fine, but first-person jumping is hard. So I often found myself missing the damn blue gel and having to get up to a higher bit. Of course, I do have a similar problem sometimes when I fall off where I try to do the portal jump where you jump off a high place, land through a portal, and go shooting out another one. Sometimes I just miss the portal and end up like standing right next to it. The game seems to do a pretty decent job of fudging you a little bit, so if you're off center, it'll put you through the portal anyway. Not with that blue gel. You seem to really need to be on it. And it wasn't a consistent problem, but there were many times, including in the final boss fight, where I had to run back up to the top to try and land on the patch of blue gel, and kept missing. So, it's probably just a matter of me sucking, but I didn't really care for the way it felt. Still a good idea. I liked the mechanic. I thought it added. I thought the late game mechanics, such as the blue gels, that kind of tractor beam thing, was really cool. I really like that one. Especially when you start transporting gunk in the tractor beam. That was neat. The later game area has a little bit of a problem with signposting, I felt. In the first two-thirds of the game, especially when you're in the testing chambers, you always know where you're supposed to go. There's an exit door. You're in the puzzle room and you're like, okay, I need to get there. How do I get there? There are a lot of areas that, for me, towards the end of the game, I'd be in this area and be, I don't know where I'm supposed to go in here. I don't know where I want to get to. That happened a couple of times. I felt it could have been used a little bit better signposting there. But otherwise, a really good, really fun game. I really enjoyed the characterizations and where it went. I like the fact that it has, like Firewatch, it has audio commentary nodes that you can turn on so you can play through the game listening to audio commentary. What I don't like is, again, like Firewatch and other games, if you don't remember... In Firewatch, the problem is if you don't remember what triggers the end of a day, you can end up ending a day and missing commentary nodes, which will cut off right in the middle of playing. In Portal 2, I wasn't sure if a commentary node would keep playing if I went down an elevator. It does not. and if you go down an elevator, you need to start the entire chapter again to get back to the commentary node. I don't like that. So, small critique though. Otherwise, a great game. I was very interested to find out. I figured I had heard that there was another song like "Still Alive," and I was curious. Man, that was a lightning in a bottle type of song. But the one at the end of Portal 2 is right up there. It's very complementary to the first. So nicely done, Valve and all the peoples who worked on it. Really, really cool game. I liked it. So next Sunday, which is tomorrow at noon, I will be playing Hand of Fate, which I'm actually really looking forward to. I played a little bit of it earlier in the week just to check it out and see if it was something I'd want to stream. And I was suitably impressed by it. I thought it would be a good game for streaming. And I also really kind of wanted to play more of it, and I've been wanting to play it this week, so I think that's a good sign. So if you're not busy tomorrow afternoon, noon PST, drop on by and we'll play a little Hand of Fate. All right, so what's the news for this week? Well, the Entertainment Software Ratings Board, the ESRB, has released a new content descriptor, a new-ish content descriptor for the back of rated game boxes. This one covering essentially loot boxes, but really anything that you pay money to get some type of random item. So the ESRB already had an in-game purchases descriptor. Now they have included, in parentheses, includes random items. So they have in-game purchases, and they have in-game purchases, parentheses, includes random items. So they are described on the website as such. In-game purchases contains in-game offers to purchase digital goods or premiums with real-world currency, including but not limited to bonus level skins, music, virtual coins, and other forms of in-game currency, subscriptions, season passes, and upgrades, for example, to disable ads. In-game purchases, parentheses, includes random items, end parentheses, says contains in-game offers to purchase digital goods or premiums with real-world currency, parentheses, or with virtual coins or other forms of in-game currency that can be purchased with real-world currency, for which the player doesn't know prior to purchase the specific digital goods or premiums they will be receiving. Example, loot boxes, item packs, mystery awards. Surprised they didn't put surprise mechanics in the parentheses there. Okay, so step in the right direction. Matthew says nothing more than word salad. It depends on what you want out of the ESRB. The ESRB positions itself as a body to inform consumers what content is in a game so that they may make informed purchasing decisions for themselves or their dependents. If you want the ESRB to do more than that, that's fine, but it's not what it's set up to do. I would, if you don't know, the ESRB is owned and run by the ESA, the Entertainment Software Association, which is essentially a lobbying group for video game publishers. I would prefer the ESRB to be independent of that organization, even if the ESA didn't completely suck as an organization. If the ECA, the Entertainment Consumers Association, had stuck around, I would have liked to see. I would like to see an independent ratings body. I don't really need the government to rate video games because it would probably be terrible at that. If history's any tell, but the reason the ESRB exists, of course, is the industry is regulating or rating itself so that the government doesn't. Which is good, but still, I would rather a... let me put it this way. Loot boxes and mechanics of that ilk, surprise mechanics, one might call them, literally one, EA, it's the only one, have been around for years, right? It's suspiciously timed, perhaps, that the ratings for these hot button issues come along years later, like after the game industry itself has kind of moved past it a little bit. For example, we're not seeing as many loot boxes as we used to. We're still seeing similar monetization efforts, but the industry does seem to be moving away from loot boxes. Now, maybe that's because governments around the world are starting to look into it and saying, hey, that looks like gambling. It smells like gambling, too. Maybe this is gambling and we might want to regulate it as such. So, I do find the timing a little bit suspicious. And I think that with an independent ratings board, there's a good chance we would have had content descriptors reflecting the inclusion of such monetization mechanics a lot earlier than once we're over the hump, right? So, Matthew says, I'd prefer they just say loot boxes. Well, they do in the description on the website, but you're right. I think what you mean is as an actual content descriptor, like content descriptor contains loot boxes. Now, the ESRB, for its part, actually does address that. So let's see what it says. In a little blog post which announced this new content descriptor, it says, "Why not say loot boxes?" It says, loot box is a term that does not encompass all types of randomized in-game purchase mechanics. We want to ensure that the new label covers all transactions with randomized elements in-game The label accounts for loot boxes and all similar mechanics that offer random items in exchange for a real-world currency or in-game currency that can be purchased with real money. That goes on to say, moreover, we want to avoid confusing consumers who may not be familiar with what a loot box is. Which, fair point, but it would seem to me to be your job to educate consumers as to what these are. But I think there is an argument to be made that loot boxes are not the only mechanics representation of that monetization schema. So they're saying we're trying to get a term that covers all of them. Okay, sure, argument to be made there. Would it be better to just list all the different types that are in there? Might not be space. Who the heck knows? This next part says, recent research, and they do this twice, and I'll point it out. Recent research shows that less than a third of parents have both heard of a loot box and know what it is. Loot box is a widely understood phrase in and around the video game industry and among dedicated gamers, but most people less familiar with games do not understand it. While the new label is primarily in response to feedback from game enthusiasts, it is still essential that all consumers, especially parents, have a clear understanding of the rating information we provide. Keep that recent research shows that this stuff, keep that in mind, because they have another section that says, Why now? Which is a question I was asked a few minutes ago. According to research, parents are far more concerned about their child's ability to spend real money in games than the fact that those in-game purchases may be randomized. This data helped to inform the introduction of the in-game purchases interactive element. That being said, since adding the in-game purchases noting to ratings assigned to physical games, many game consumers and enthusiasts, not necessarily parents, have reached out to us asking the ESRB to include additional information to identify games that includes randomized purchases. That parenthetical drop-in, the not necessarily parents, sticks out like a sore thumb to me. That's a little weird. I don't know why that's there. I have theories, but I don't know why that's there. But what I want to draw attention to is both of these sections start out with, according to research, and at no point is the research actually described or linked to. I'm not saying the research doesn't exist, but as an organization meant to inform consumers, inform consumers, you'd think that they'd, at the very least, link to the damn research. Not that I'm calling them out on it, and I'm not calling shenanigans or anything, but, you know, just as a writer, if you're going to say, well, research shows, well, then show the research. You know? Link it. You can do that. Because anyone could say, well, research shows this. Does it? Does it really? So. So, yeah, the ESRB is a tool. Hopefully, I don't use it because I don't care what a movie or a game is rated, because there's no content that I find I'm an adult. I don't have kids, so I don't have to worry about inappropriate content. Also, while I certainly will shun games that do this aggressive monetization crap, a lot of times the aggressive monetization crap is inserted in the game after launch. So the game's rated, it's put on the shelves, and then the monetization crap is inserted. And, well, they were really willing to recall Grand Theft Auto San Andreas back in 2005 for content that actually wasn't part of the game proper, but was on the disc, just inaccessible unless you hacked it. They were really willing to recall the game for that, but they're not willing to recall games for content that needs a content descriptor that wasn't in there in the first place. Granted, it's probably because that doesn't change the actual rating. That's an interesting... I have not heard anyone argue this because I haven't talked to anyone about this, but I'd be curious how many people think that games with surprise mechanics, randomized in-game purchases, or in-game purchases should automatically be rated mature, or at least more than E, because you have to be somewhat mature and responsible to govern your household spending. So maybe. I mean, interestingly, I think what the ESRB calls how's it phrased? Real gambling. They have two gambling descriptors: real gambling and simulated gambling. Real gambling, I believe, will actually push the game up into an AO or something like that. At least I remember of the like dozen or so games AO, a couple of them are gambling games. So should that happen? If you want my personal opinion on the way I think the world should work, I think no game should have these monetization mechanics, period, unless the game itself is free. if you're selling a game for full price, you don't get to do microtransactions, randomized or not. If it's a free-to-play game, fine, because that's where the monetization comes in. There are various ways to monetize a game. You can sell it for money. You can have little microtransactions. You can have a subscription service. Lots of different things you can do. What I think you should not do, I don't know if I would go so far as to say shouldn't be able to, but in my little perfect world you wouldn't be able to. You can't do all of them. You can't sell a game for... You can, I'm just saying in my perfect world. You can't sell a game for $60 and have a subscription to it and have microtransactions. That's horse poop, says I. Jordan says loot boxes take advantage of the dopamines like slot machines. Your brain hopes for a nice surprise. Yeah, loot boxes or various games of chance where you wager a resource for the opportunity to get something, and it's a game of chance. It's up in the air whether you get it or not. Is how gambling works. And so I am of the opinion that this is gambling. I don't see how it's not gambling. I've heard some argue that, well, because you get something, there's always something in the loot box, then it's not gambling. That's one way to look at it, but you could also look at it as getting the thing you want or not getting the thing you want. Even if you get something, it's more than likely not the thing you want. So it's gambling. And again, it's in a game you already paid $60 for. So I don't think that should be there. Now, various types of content, and I'm talking about theme and the actual violence, sexuality, bad language, things like that, adult situations, all that stuff. The actual game content, I don't think there should be restrictions on. There are some extenuating circumstances, like, for example, doxing someone in a video game, like putting someone's home address and phone number in a video game. Yeah, that's content that shouldn't be in a video game, obviously, right? But if you want to tell a story with foul language, go right ahead. With lots of sex, go right ahead. With lots of blood and gore and grisly, gruesome stuff and giblets, lots of giblets, go right ahead. All three, go right ahead. If you want naked butts and boobs and penises flying all over the place, hey, not many people will probably buy it. Walmart won't carry it, but you do you. I don't have a problem with content in video games, and I don't think that should be restricted. Again, with a couple caveats for things that would actually endanger people. But loot boxes, microtransactions, season passes, these things, these are not game content. These are monetization practices. So these can and should, in my very, very humble opinion, be regulated. I think all actual game content should be allowed, again with a couple exceptions, but they should all be identified and listed so that customers can make informed. Like if you really don't want butts in your game and it says butts on the back of the box, you're like, well, that game has butts, it's not for me. That's fine. I don't think any game ever should have loot boxes. There's no reason for them. They do not paid loot boxes. Slot machines are great. I'm playing Dragon Quest XI right now, and I spend ridiculous amounts of time in the in-game casino playing the slot machines and poker and the roulette wheel. Not so much the roulette wheel, because roulette's boring, but I love the slot machines. I love the little... There's two different kinds of slot. I love the casino in the video games, but here's the difference. I already paid $60. Well, I didn't pay 60 for it, but I paid my money for the game. I can play the casino games for free. I don't have to dump more money in the game to do that. So games of chance, fine. Gambling mechanics as game content, fine. More ways to suck money out of the people who already bought your product? No. Now, I'm begrudgingly okay with DLC to an extent, as long as it feels like extra content, not content that you purposefully cut out of the game to sell me later, which is what it feels like when you announce the DLC 6 months to a year before the game even comes out. You know, like Monster Hunter World Iceborne, which was $40 of DLC, but it's essentially an expansion. It's new content for the game, new monsters, new quests, new weapons and armor, all kinds of new story elements. It's great. It's fun. But if it's like, hey, here's those levels that we cut out of the games, to me, I'm like, just sell the damn thing for $80 if you want $80. And you might say, well, no one would pay $80 for it. Yeah, exactly. So, Jordan says, AO is a rating for a reason. I've said this before, but it's probably been years since Game Politics is no more. We don't talk about the ESRB much, or I don't. I have long since advocated, as early as 2006, 2005, that the adults, in fact, I think I wrote an article on Game Politics about this very thing. The adults only rating is completely useless and circumvents the ESRB's mission statement. And it's not the ESRB's fault. It's not the ESRB's fault that Walmart won't carry AO games, that Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo won't publish AO games or allow them or license games to be played on their platform. That's not the ESRB's fault. But that's not the intended goal of ratings. The intended goal is to give consumers the information they need to make informed purchasing decisions. And rating a game AO does not give me the information I need to make an informed purchasing decision. It prevents me from purchasing the game. It takes away that decision. So it takes away my agency. So the ESRB should get rid of the AO rating because, one, they never use it. 2, it's a de facto ban, which is not what it's supposed to do anyway. And 3, if people aren't using your tool correctly, either stop providing it or fix the tool. And that, dear listeners, is my very, very humble opinion. Jordan says, I recently got Sonic Team Racing, and it was disheartening. I had to use in-game currency to open loot boxes for car upgrades. You can't use real-world money to buy them, but it's still disappointing. If a video game sells away, not necessarily through real-world money, but especially when they sell away with real-world money, to skip portions of the game, and I'm thinking about things like experience booster packs, what that tells me is your game isn't fun to play. If you think it's actually worthwhile to spend $1, $3, $6, $10, whatever it is, on EXP boosters, so that people don't have to grind it out in the game, so that gamers don't have to actually play the game, what that tells me is your game isn't fun to play. What it also tells me is you purposefully made it not fun to play to incentivize gamers to give you more money so they wouldn't have to play the game they already gave you money for. So, speaking for myself, if I find out that a game has EXP booster packs or any of that, time saver type of item that the publisher is selling, I'm going to think long and hard before I buy that game. I'm probably not going to buy the game. Because what that tells me is you have purposefully, deliberately tuned your gameplay to be a frustrating slog, to incentivize gamers to pay so they won't have to do it. I'd rather just not give you money in the first place and not suffer through your insufferable slog of a game. You see, Monster Hunter is a grind, but it's fun. It's fun to fight. I want to fight Devil Joe and Bagel Juice and all the other characters over and over because they're fun to fight. Yeah, it took me 70 hours to get the materials I needed to build the ultimate sword of doom and destruction or whatever it's called, but golly gosh darn it, I had fun the entire time. Yeah, granted, I cursed the RNG gods for not smiling upon me, but the game's fun to play. I'm playing Dragon Quest XI right now. There is grind. You wander around and fight monsters, and it's fun. Because they made the game to be fun. If you make a game and you feel there is actually value in not playing it, you've failed at making a fun game. So, alright, I've got other things to talk about, so let's get off this topic and move on to something incredibly horrifying. So this is a poster for Dummy, a new movie that's premiering on Quibi. Quibi. Do you think we have enough streaming services? Whoever owns Quibi doesn't think we have enough streaming services, so we're getting another one, and it's called Quibi. The gimmick of this one is it's supposed to be mobile only, so for those of you who are watching Netflix or whatever, or Amazon Prime or Hulu on your nice 60-inch high-definition television, it's like, wow, instead of paying $70 a month for internet and paying $10 a month or $12 a month or whatever it is for the streaming service and watching it on my $1,000 television with my $1,000 surround sound, I'd rather spend $70 on internet and $10 a year for a streaming service and watch all this shit on my phone. Said anyone? I guess there's a market for this, because I know a lot of people who are like, you know what? I would rather play my video games on this than on my big ass wonderful high def TV. I'd rather play it on the 8-9-inch screen with tinny sound and really uncomfortable controllers. I don't get you people. Anyway, so Quibi. Here's a movie. That's Anna Kendrick. And have you seen Child's Play? It's a movie about a kid who has a doll that talks to him. In the broadest of strokes. This is the same movie. Anna Kendrick has a sex doll that talks to her. Why am I bringing this up? Well, let me regale you with part of the trailer.
We're all sex dolls until we topple the patriarchy.
That's great. You're a feminist sex doll.
Who is that? He's like 14. So, I'm 7.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I saw this trailer earlier today, and I thought, well, those effects are bad, very, very bad. Wow, those are bad. And I thought, I mean, I walked away from the trailer thinking, if you're not going to animate any more than the doll's eyes and mouth, why not just use an animatronic? You know? I mean, Child's Play is over 30 years old, but Chucky had more points of articulation in his face than this doll does. All she does is her eyes move back and forth, she blinks, and her mouth goes up and down. That's it. If you had access to a studio that could build you something, doing an animatronic for this would probably not be too hard, and might be cheaper than doing full digital. Although it looks like they have a physical prop, and they did the same thing that they did in L.A. Noire, that video game for the PS3 back in 2011, where they filmed the actors, converted the footage to a texture map, and just plopped it right on the character model. Which looked pretty good 10 years ago. 10-year-old PS3 effects don't look great in a 2020 movie, though, even if you're watching it on your phone. This really looks like it's projection mapped onto... It doesn't look like it's 3D modeled. It looks like an animated texture, and it looks really bad. And I was thinking to myself, why didn't they just use a physical prop and do animatronics for the head, since the whole body isn't moving, it's just laying there. It doesn't even appear to turn its head. It just blinks and moves its mouth. Surely you can do an animatronic. And I thought about it. I thought, you know what this trailer actually looks like? It looks like they did use a physical model, maybe an animatronic, and then just painted over it with crappy CG. Which makes me wonder, if that's the case, how bad was the animatronic? Oh, wow. But that's probably not what happened. The producers of the film probably just got their buddy, or were like, oh, we don't need animatronics. My buddy Jerry, he knows Photoshop. He could do it. And this is what they came up with. Now, I don't mind the fact that the doll looks creepy. It's a sex doll. Sex dolls are creepy. I don't think that's actually the point of sex dolls. I don't think sex dolls should look creepy. But even the sex toy that someone sent me... I can never lean the correct way. The sex toy that someone sent me a couple months ago, that thing is creepy as hell until I put googly eyes on it. Then it was funny. But that's not the point. The point is, it's a sex doll. Even if you use an animatronic, even if it looks like a doll, that's okay, because it is. Chucky looks fine even in 1988 effects. Well, it just looks like a doll. Well, yeah, it is a doll. It's okay if it looks like a doll, because it is. Or you could have gone the mannequin route and just had an actor hold really still and just move her face. Why, movie? Why? Jordan says, Andrew, you're gonna need to pay for my therapy after I'll need after seeing that. Jordan's saying what I just said. It'd be funnier if it wasn't a doll and just a human dressed and posed like a doll meant to look like one. Yeah, exactly what they did in Mannequin, which got a sequel, Mannequin 2. Both of which I've seen. The second one's weird. Isn't it like a magic necklace from the 15th century or something, transports someone into modern day, or like 1980s New York, but in the form of a mannequin or something? Some weird ass thing. What was the kid who was in that movie? He's in Weekend at Bernie's. A lot of the 80s stuff. I'll think of his name. Doesn't matter. So, yeah, if you want to watch movies on your phone, that's one you could watch. You could. And hey, maybe it'll be a good movie. Anna Kendrick's a good performer. Could be funny. I like the conceit. The conceit of the movie is Anna Kendrick is having trouble dealing with the fact that her boyfriend has a sex doll, so she does what any of us would do. She goes on a road trip with the sex doll. That could be funny. That's a premise that could work. But, I mean, man, that's, the effects could be better. the effects could be better. So now, let me regale you with the story of the Crimson Kimono, a movie I watched this week, which, rarely have I ever seen a movie start here, then go here, and then go, at the very end. It starts out as a police procedural. A woman at a burlesque show is shot dead in the street. Well, she goes back to her dressing room and someone shoots at her, and she runs out into the streets of New York, and I guess the person follows her and shoots her dead. So our two cops, Joe Friday and the other guy, are on the case, and the first 40 minutes of it are them doing the whole naked city thing, just pounding the pavement and following leads, and they find a witness who saw a guy, but now her life is in danger, so she's in protective custody, which means she's in the hotel room shared by the two cops, which seems to be where they live. Which is weird to me. Not sure if that was a thing back in the 50s, but it's a thing here. It's just weird. Weird that they live together in a hotel, and that the woman in protective custody is put specifically with those two guys, since they're constantly out following leads and stuff. But whatever, it's a movie. It has some really nice naturalistic acting. In fact, I was really impressed with the blocking and costume design of a scene early in the movie where our two lead police officers are just getting up in the morning and wandering around their apartment because they've got total bed hair. Their pajamas are wrinkled as hell because they just got out of bed. One of the things I love about movies is you see this more with female characters than male characters, but you'll see characters who get out of bed to find a strange noise to a strange noise in the middle of the night, and especially women. They get out of bed and their nightgown looks like it just came from the laundromat. Their hair is perfectly done. Their full makeup. I'm like, nobody wakes up in the middle of the night like that. But these two dudes look like they just got up, and they threw on bathrobes, and they did stuff like brushing their teeth, and getting bagels and reading the paper. It was just a really naturalistic scene. I really liked it. I was like, this is like one of the best directed scene I've ever seen. Well done, movie. And then suddenly, the woman they have in protective custody falls in love with one of the cops, who falls in love with her, but then she's in love with the other guy who suddenly loves her, and it's a love triangle. Went my estimation for the movie. I was digging the movie for the first 40, 50 minutes, and then the love triangle happens, and I was like, what? What? Suddenly love? What? This number one, that's incredibly unprofessional for you guys. Number two, what? Why? No. And it's so weird because I don't believe in love at first sight. Lust at first sight, sure. Love, no. So I oftentimes just do not buy relationships in movies because movies are only 2 hours long, so the characters often fall in love in the first. It's like you've known each other for 3 hours. It's like she's known these two for today. Oh, we really bonded over you sitting over there smoking a cigarette while I spent hours looking through mugshots. So, one of the police officers is a Japanese American, And they try to do this thing where, oh, I'm in love with her, but my partner's in love with her, and that's going to hurt him. And they finally fight it out, and he gets all pissed. He's like, you're against this because I'm Japanese and you're a racist. And the other guy's like, no, I'm just hurt and jealous because I'm in love with her and you're my best friend. We were in war together. I got a pint of your blood flowing through my veins. So we're both hurt, but you're seeing just what you want to see. Not what what you're seeing. What you're seeing is jealous hatred. I'm very mad at you, but it's not racist. You're being a dipstick. And he's like, no, I quit the force. And I'm looking at the time code. I'm thinking we've got like only 8 minutes left of the movie. Did we completely forget about the woman who was murdered at the beginning, or do we not care? Well, in the last 5 minutes of the movie, the murderer just shows up and goes, I'm the murderer, and runs out the door, and they chase her down the street, and they tackle her, and the cop who thinks that his friend doesn't like him because he's Japanese American shoots the murderer, and she's like, I killed the woman at the burlesque place because I thought she was making eyes at my husband, but she wasn't. I only saw what I wanted to see. I was so wrong for judging people, and la 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 la. And our hero is like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I'm doing. And I was like, okay, I didn't actually expect you to tie these two things together, so you went up in my estimation a little bit. But I also noticed something really weird. This is a movie from the 1950s. It's I went into it thinking, this is going to be really racist, especially since the advertising. I looked at the trailer before I watched the movie, and I saw the movie poster, and it's really racist. It's like really racist. It's like sold on Japanese, or a white woman likes Japanese boy. I'm like, oh my god, this movie is gonna be hard to watch. But no, it's actually surprisingly not very racist. It's supremely sexist, but it's surprisingly not as racist as you think it's going to be for that era. But one thing I was noticed is that when the woman is kissing the one cop, the white cop, she's kissing him full on the face. But when she's making googly eyes with the Japanese American cop, she's not kissing him full on the face. She's more nuzzling his cheek and hugging. I was thinking, is this like some 50s we can't have a white woman and a Japanese American kissing on camera because that would be give people the vapors kind of a thing? But they actually full on tongue kiss at the very end. So I was like, okay, I guess we were just saving that little bit of exoticism for the end. Is it a good movie? No. No, it's not at all. It's got a lot of technical merit. There were a lot of things in the movies that I really liked. I liked the fact that it was half the cast is actually a Japanese American, and I think there's a Korean dude in there somewhere. All of the Japanese language dialogue is not subtitled, which is really cool. And it treats Japanese Americans and Japanese culture. It doesn't treat it in that exotic way that a lot of movies of the era do. So I thought they did a pretty nice job. The same that care was not extended to the film's advertising because it's really gross. So the Crimson Kimono. That's a movie that exists. Jordan, referring to the last topic, says, imagine the police call. I think my girlfriend's gone unhinged. She skipped town and stole my sex doll. I mean, since those things cost like several $1,000s, right? I mean, I've never priced one. I don't know if they're sold on Amazon or whatever, but aren't they like nearly $10,000 because they have like hand punched hair and they weigh 100 pounds and they come in a humongous crate that has to be driven by forklift. Can you imagine the shipping on those damn things? Oh, can you imagine cleaning those damn things? Ugh. Sex dolls are great if you want to know what it feels like sleeping next to a corpse. That cold, unmoving body next to me. Now I can sleep. Ugh. Hey, have you ever seen that film Necromantic? It's a movie. It got a sequel. It's about two people who bond over their love of roadkill. And it gets worse. Oh, movies are fun. Jordan says, a few years ago I had a Korean girlfriend and a friend of mine asked me which one she was. That sure was a fun question. I'm not even sure what that question means. But it sounds like one of those... you know, sometimes you get asked a racist question. Or let me state that a different way. Sometimes you'll be asked a question, usually online this day and age, and you look at it and you're like, I don't know what that means. I genuinely don't. I'm not fronting. I genuinely don't know what that means, but I'm pretty sure it's racist. I'm pretty sure if I looked that up, it would be racist. Oh, North or South Korean. Okay. Next, so Crimson Kimono. Okay, so I downloaded and I played the Final Fantasy VII demo. I have not played Final Fantasy VII. But I did play the demo for the Final Fantasy VII Remake demo. Sorry, the Remake demo. Which is, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes maybe. It's not very long. Now, grading on a curve here because it's an RPG, and RPGs are notoriously difficult to actually demo because they're long, complicated games. Very difficult to show off an RPG in, 30 minutes to an hour. So, grading on that curve, Final Fantasy VII Remake is okay. The demo is okay. Like a lot of RPG demos, it doesn't start with the beginning of the game unless the beginning of the game starts en media res. I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly. Because your characters just are immediately on a mission, and they keep referencing people that you don't know who they are or what they're doing, or one gal's like, "Hey, so are you and Tifa friends?" And I'm like, "Who's Tifa?" I know who Tifa is, but if I was completely new to this, it'd be who's Tifa? So instead of the turn-based Final Fantasy VII mechanics of old, very old because latter-day Final Fantasy games have been more action-oriented with their battle mechanics. This kind of works like Xenoblade Chronicles, where basically you have weaker attacks that you use to build up a gauge to use your special strong attacks, right? The difference being is you have to actually slam on the button to do your attacks. In Xenoblade Chronicles, your characters just automatically slash with their sword as long as they're in range. So essentially, you are in Xenoblade Chronicles, which I shouldn't be talking about. The job is to position yourself in range of getting smacked by a monster, but not getting smacked by a monster, and putting yourself in a position like behind them that would be advantageous, so that when your meter fills, you do your special attacks and topple the monster. Final Fantasy VII works much in the same way, except you're actually controlling the smack 'em in the head button. So you smack 'em in the head, meter fills, and then you can pause time, essentially, slow-mo to do bullet time while you select your special attacks out of the menu, and you can switch on the fly between your characters so that you can set up a special attack with Cloud and then move over to Mr. T. Barrett, one of the two. Machine gun arm, muscly man. Big muscly man. like impossibly huge dude with a gun arm, with a chain gun on his arm. It's like these are like you could call them eco terrorists. I'm sure they might prefer something else. I can only imagine like these people are so recognizable. I wonder how they managed to walk around. Was the place Midgard or something like that? It's like, oh, there he is. He's 7 feet tall and 8 feet wide. He's got a chain gun for an arm. You know, it's pretty easy to spot. Oh, there's the other dude with the spiky yellow hair and the gigantic sword. We just followed the blood trail because he keeps walking into, he keeps nicking people as he walks down the street. Anyway, what I think of the game. So I think the battle mechanics work pretty well. I was pretty impressed with how easy to follow the menuing was. Although I found the menus themselves a bit sparse. And then maybe it fills up with other stuff later in the game, but it didn't seem to be a great use of space. I also found some of the instructions a little vague. They'd say, wait till your ABT meter, or whatever it's called, fills. And I'm like, great. What is the ABT meter and where is it? It took me about halfway through the demo before I found that damn thing and go, oh, I guess that's it. That little sliver of meter in the lower left corner. All of the your health, your magic points, stuff like that, they are all these incredibly thin little line meters. I'd prefer they were a little bit thicker. I mean, I don't need as much of the screen taken up with junk as, say, Xenoblade Chronicles did, but you could have made it a little bit bigger because I had a real difficult time figuring out. My health ended up being too low several times because I just wasn't seeing my health, because you have to really look at it. Performances are fine. Hard to judge because we're in the middle of the story and I don't know how these characters relate to anybody. I liked the girl, Jessie. I thought she was fun. She's the only one having fun. The others are just really angsty. Cloud is the angstiest of the angsties. But Jessie, or whatever her name is, I really don't like her breastplate. She really needs Square Enix, please don't no, that looks terrible. Don't do that. And I'm grading on the curve of Square Enix outfits. Like Aerith, I think her name is. She's got belts all over the place. She's wearing like 4 belts. Some of them are on her sleeves for some reason. I don't know what it is with you and belts, Square Enix, but Jesus. But Jessie has this metal breastplate with just boobs built into the chest, and it looks ridiculous. I mean, more ridiculous than Cloud's obnoxious sword. More ridiculous than that. Other than that, I'm fine with all the belts. Will I buy the game? Maybe in 15 or 20 years when the entire thing is out. So, that's my thoughts on Final Fantasy VII Remake. Let's see. Yeah. Jordan sent me a picture on Facebook earlier this week about a playset for a Bowser's Castle playset. Not Lego, but a plastic Bowser Castle playset, which hard to judge, but looked to be a good sized playset. $40. That's in comparison to the Lego Bowser playset, which is $100. And to be fair, we don't know how big it is. We don't know how many bricks. We don't know how. We don't know what's in it. But my guess is it's probably no more than 500 bricks, because it doesn't look much bigger than the other sets we saw. And it probably doesn't come with Mario, which is the expensive toy. So far as we know, Bowser is not like Mario. He's just a figurine. He doesn't have electronic mechanics in him. We don't know that for certain, But it was an interesting comparison, looking at a $40 plastic toy and a $100 toy made up of smaller plastic toys. So, yeah. All right, 8 o'clock, but one more topic I want to talk about. So do I have it sitting over here? Yes, I do. So I started Uncharted 3 this week. I had played one. I played the first one. I own all of them, by the way. I have 1 through 4 and Lost Legacy. Is that what it's called? I think so. So I played the first one, and I thought it was not bad, but I was very surprised it got a sequel because it's not good. I don't see what anyone else saw in the original Uncharted. It wasn't doing anything new at the time. It was essentially, it was doing what Tomb Raider was already doing. Unfortunately, Tomb Raider seemed to take too many of its cues from Uncharted. That's a shame. But the first one had some fun characters and some nice environments to climb around, and the problems I had were the controls didn't always work. They weren't bad, but sometimes Nathan Drake would just go jumping in a direction that you were not pushing the control stick, and he would just decide to, you'd line yourself up and you'd be all right, here we go, and jump, and he'd go that, and you're like, what the hell are you doing? I beat the game and I started it again to go collect all the things I had missed, the little treasures and stuff, and I stopped it probably in like the second level because I saw a treasure and I just could not get Nathan to consistently grab a ledge or something, and I was like, okay, screw this. The other bigger problem to the game is the combat in the game is just not fun. It's shooty combat. And it's not bad, it's just not fun. You hide behind a chest-high wall and you shoot dudes. The combat wasn't satisfying because it was rarely clear how many... The enemies would stagger too much and you'd shoot dudes and you'd be like, are you dying? Are you dying? Are you... No? No, okay. Okay, how about now? Okay, are you going to fall over? You going to fall... Am I wasting bullets, or are you just in a very long... Okay, he's down. Okay. Plus, fighting was never... Gun fights in that game were never a surprise, because you'd do the climby section, and then you'd enter a large, open arena with a bunch of chest-high walls, and you'd be like, oh, waves of bad guys are going to pour in as soon as I step in this clearing. Step in clearing. Wave of bad guys coming. Yep. You mow down the bad guys, second wave come in. Mow down the second wave, third wave comes in, then a fourth, then a fifth. It's just like wave after wave of bad guys in that damn game. So not a bad game, but not a good game. I was very surprised it got a sequel. But I'm glad it did because I actually liked Uncharted 2. The gunplay was so much improved. It actually felt good. The weapons were better. The arenas were much more complex rather than big open room with chest-high walls. You had like street corners with mailboxes and overturned trucks and like a store you could go in with a second level. Much more interesting arenas to fight in. Didn't have the same wave after wave of people problem. Puzzles were better. Environmental climbing all over stuff was much better. So the game I felt overstayed its welcome by maybe an hour or so. But solid game. I liked Uncharted 2. So I popped in Uncharted 3 the other night, and after 7 or 8 hours of the game, I looked at GameFAQs to see how much more of the game there was. I was on chapter 10, and I thought, if there's only like 12 chapters in the game, I'll just plow through it and I'll be good. There's 22 chapters. I'm not even halfway through. I was also wrong. I hadn't been playing it for 7 or 8 hours. I'd been playing it for 3.5. It just felt like 7 or 8 because Uncharted 3 is very, very bad. Very bad. I was not expecting that at all. Not that there are no high points, that there absolutely are, but oh my god, the combat is terrible. It is just so unfun. It doesn't have the wave after wave of bad guys problem that the first one has, but oh my god, fighting the armed combat in this game is so not fun. The enemies are so boring to fight. They're all dudes in suits, at least the first half of the game, all dudes in suits. And they're bullet spongy. They're really hard to hit, mainly because the aiming controls are phenomenally bad. The controls, the general control is actually looser in this game. It's not bad. It's just really loose, which makes a lot of the scripted run away from the explosion, run away from the people shooting at you on rails sequences really hard to do when the camera moves, and it's really difficult to keep your character lined up on the path. This adds fisticuffs. At least I don't remember fisticuffs really being a big part of the first 2 games. And I like the way the system works. There's one punch button, there's one parry button, and one grab or break hold button. It's nice, it's simple, it works, it allows for the cinematic flair that the game is going for in its presentation. But it's so unsatisfying because it never feels like you're actually hitting. It's like punching a pillow hanging on a string. You know, it just there's no impact. There's no feeling of actual connection to any of the fighting. Which it's so disappointing. I mean, at least it mechanically works. It's just really unsatisfying to play. Also, the level design is just boring as hell. Again, first half of the game. Rarely do you have anything more complicated to climb than one wall. In the first games, you were clambering all over stuff, over outcroppings and across the things. Things are falling off of things. Now it's just like, oh, there's a wall, there's a pipe on the wall, climb up the pipe on the wall. Oh, need to get in the building, need to climb up to that window, and you just climb up to the window. It is so boring. Now, there are a couple bright spots. There's a flashback towards the beginning of the game where you play young Nathan Drake, where you tail a dude through the city, and then you follow him back through the city from the rooftops. That's a really good sequence. It was unexpected, it was fun, it was creative, it was interesting seeing the level you had just walked through from a different perspective. That, unfortunately, only lasts about a minute and a half. And then you're back on the ground and just walking down a narrow corridor. Character's good. I like the new character Cutter or whatever his name is, Carver, Cutter, something like that. He's cool. Nathan and Sully. What's her name? Chloe, I think, is in this. She's fine. Naughty Dog really screwed up the lower half of her model. I don't know what's wrong with her legs, but they're just not shaped correctly, which is that's unfortunate. The bad guy, one of the bad guys is interesting, but they haven't done anything with her yet. The other bad guy is just boring as hell, and the scripting is bad. In the sense that the bad guys are just always where they need to be for no good reason. Most games have, a lot of adventure games, Uncharted, Tomb Raider, have that issue to an extent where you'll climb this impossible cliff and get up to a ledge and there'll be bad guys. And it's like, how the hell did you guys get up here? Are there stairs on the other side that I just didn't see? Did a chopper just drop you off? You know, that is a problem in these type of games, but Uncharted 3 takes that to the extreme. There are constantly bad guys in places there shouldn't be. And they hound you, they follow you to places where they should not be able to follow you to. And it makes no sense that the bad guys would know to be there, let alone be able to be there. So, both of the problems. So, maybe Uncharted 3 really takes off in its back half. I'm at the point of the game where the characters just met up with Elena, the blonde-haired woman, in Yemen. So that's the point of the game I'm at. Maybe it gets better from here. I mean, maybe the level design gets better. I could see that, but I don't think the combat's getting any better. I think the combat's the combat, and that's just going to be really, 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 really bad throughout the entire game. I may have to give up on this one. This game is just bad. It's really, really bad. And it got really high reviews, really high review scores. People really seemed to like it back in I don't know when this came out. Whenever it came out, 2011 or something. But yeah, it is a bad game. Bad. Oh, bright spots. One more bright spot. Good puzzles. Not many, but the puzzles that are there are two that I can think of that were really solidly good puzzles, and one that it was just phenomenal and great. Probably a puzzle that I will always remember. So good job there, but otherwise Uncharted 3 is terrible, and that makes me very sad, and makes me kind of dread Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy. Crystal Dynamics, please stop taking cues from Uncharted because it's bad. I've played 3 of them, only 1 is actually good. So, Jordan says, you're giving me flashbacks of the Tomb Raider reboot. Now I totally want to play through it again. There goes my weekend. Thanks, Andrew. At least the game's pretty awesome. Yeah, I like the Tomb Raider series. I've played... yeah, it was just called Tomb Raider and then Rise of the Tomb Raider. I enjoyed both of them. They're both too heavy on the gunplay. The first one seemed to forget about the tombs. The second one remembered the tombs, but they're optional, which is weird in a Tomb Raider game. It's like, hey, we're making Tomb Raider. What do you think gamers want from the Tomb Raider games? You think they want to raid tombs or anything? Raid tombs? In Tomb Raider? Why do you think anyone would want to raid a tomb in Tomb Raider? I don't know. So I have Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I haven't played it yet, but it looks like it gets even more... You know what people really like about Tomb Raider? Murdering the hell out of people. No? No. No, Crystal Dynamics, no. Well, that's it for me. I guess we can all make plans to go on a road trip with our sex dolls, and because we all own really, really expensive, creepy dolls, right? Right? It's not just me. Actually, that's go on a road trip with that thing, which looks like a blobfish, honestly. It's like, shouldn't sex toys be sex-y? I mean, maybe I have odd taste, maybe I'm just weird, but I look at a sex toy and it creeps me out. You know? I would think that a sex toy is supposed to elicit a reaction of ooh rather than you know. Jordan says, I want to bake cookies in my Tomb Raider games. Yeah, Tomb Raider X Cooking Mama. So, okay, that's it for me. I need to consume liquid and eat and play more play more Dragon Quest XI because I don't want to play this. I don't know if I'll finish it. There's 12 more chapters of this damn game. I mean, if I watch someone Let's Play it, that counts, right? Anyway, gonna play some Hand of Fate tomorrow afternoon, so join me at noon Pacific Standard Time, and we'll play a little of that. Looks like a lot of fun to me. So, I hope you all have a lovely day, and hope to see you tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.